antique gudgeon.
Thank you, Francis. Thank you, Alan. The first place I ever read poetry in San Francisco was at the 21 Club down at Turk and Taylor, R.I.P. So it's great to be reading in a bar in the Tenderloin one more time. This one's called Making Things Worse. If I was moving slower, the fog and I would dance, keep our distance, and then part. But I can't stand to do things slowly. Not tonight. I sprint from block to block, startling the fog, colliding with it, creating private rainstorms around me, combing water out of the air as I pedal. I run a red light, brakes too wet to stop downhill, and shout at the drivers I've cut off, claiming they're at fault. It's not the first time I've done this, making things worse for myself. Just wait. I touch a toe to the pavement, waiting to cross over the center line, and my foot interrupts a delta of sand flowing out of the cable car tracks. For years, I've taken courage from, been encouraged by these accretions, thinking of the city trying to hold the dunes in place, but the grains rising anyway, finding a path through the pavement. Sand re-emerging by defiant geologic persistence. Then, a passing streetcar sprayed grit from a nozzle onto the tracks for traction in the rain. Not local. The product of some distant hills. I loved this shifting sand so much, back when I didn't understand it. I pick my foot up out of the mess and move on. I'll arrive first, but I'll be soaking and unforgivable when I get there. Thank you. They leave me alone. I don't cut flowers for the table now. The flowers here have work to do. They get to their business, and they leave me alone with mine. I'm keeping the bones of everything I eat. There's a pile ruining the cabinet under the stairs now. I don't know what to do with them, but once I noticed these tombstones in my food, I couldn't stop. I couldn't stop anything. Unlike the flowers, I've mostly admired cows for what they do when they're dead. Trimming broken limbs near the back fence, I accidentally lopped a large live branch. I staked it up in the middle of the yard as a warning to the other trees. Even this I'm capable of. Thank you. Gathering sources. They came here to fall apart, and the hot rot of Florida is working. Habits, preferences, teeth are all falling away. It's hours after I thought we'd be going. Late morning when we step out. The golf course, of course, is mowing, like they do almost every day. I can hear a John Deere working over past the water hazard. Ooh, smell that skunk? Dad asks. Mom says, I smell cut grass, with a tone that I won't say anything else about right now. It had been a pretty gritty morning so far. From somewhere, I remember an article about the sense of smell maybe providing a new early detection method for dementia. Scent dysphoria can precede any cognitive symptoms. Misidentifying strong odors is a strong predictor of 5-year mortality. One of the strongest signaling scents? Cut grass. You don't smell a skunk? Dad asks again, and stops walking to take a couple of deep breaths. I've been letting a lot of his questions just hang in the air, unanswered. Sometimes we move on faster that way, and I am still enthralled by youthful speed. But he turns to me, eyebrow raised to punctuate the question. An old gesture of his. Some patterns are persevering longer than others. I answer, yeah, I smell grass. And I expect him to have a strong reaction to being contradicted. A woodpecker starts up in a tree nearby. We both look. He doesn't say woodpecker, though, and I wonder if he believes it's really there. He shrugs, maybe about this grass-skunk confusion, and goes back to walking. Rightly more concerned about getting down the stairs safely than talking about some stench. Yeah. Thank you. And thank you all for coming out to see people read words out loud in person right in front of you. It still happens. And now the phrase everyone loves, I have one more short poem. This one's called Wet Light Switches. How can you be so fond of that time? The house was poorly built. Remember when water came through all of the wiring? You were so depressed by the deep north dark and felt so bad from all the drugs you said made you feel so good that you couldn't get out of bed to live your life some days. You were eating dough, and you were lucky you didn't get mugged. But the radiator was very responsive. And all of us there, we were all falling apart together in the same rotten town. And then that dream, when the sun was setting at 2:15, red so low and flat in the sky, I dreamt it was nuclear flash. Thinking, finally, and relaxing, because it meant none of the things I was failing to do mattered anymore. Thank you.